What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host that feels so misunderstood by you guys sometimes. A few videos back, I was talking about how I didn't understand when people mixed eggs into things. I meant like in a bunch of like breakfast stuff. Like you'll just see someone putting scrambled eggs. And yes, I know eggs have flavors and I know eggs taste good. I said eggs taste good. I was simply saying that when you mix eggs into something like in a breakfast burrito or something, in a proper one, with all these different seasonings and different things with so much flavor, the egg just kind of gets, lost in the mix. And oftentimes just gets soggy and mushy, which sucks. Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Alright, this story's called Karen Calls Me a Gay Slur After Demanding My Manager. I had previously written on this subreddit about getting mistaken for an employee while out shopping with my boyfriend. You can read about that experience here. I'm of average height, weight, slender, in my late 30s, and am very obviously gay. This is partially relevant to the story. I've been in a relationship with my partner for almost 2 years. A little over 4 months ago, me and the other half made the decision to move in together. Prior to that, I lived with roommates and had been in the military. I had just dropped the last of my items that were stored at my mother's house in my old bedroom at the apartment when I saw the fridge needed restocking. The 2 grocery chains that I used to shop at are not available in my current area of residence. So I bit the bullet and went to that hellmouth of a retail establishment I shall refer to as Malwart. There aren't enough words to express how much I despise this place. Hey now. Unfortunately, it is one of the only affordable places within a reasonable distance from my new residence. Whether I like it or not, it really has everything we could possibly need. Exactly, so you shush up about hating Walmart, buddy. You're this close. My shopping trip wardrobe was a sky blue message t-shirt that read, "You are the Monday of my life." Cut off, torn, faded blue jean shorts, beat up running shoes, and a custom-made face mask with my dog's picture on it. To anyone with more than half a brain, I looked nothing like a Malwart associate, which always look dashing and beautiful and the most attractive retail employees. Sorry, Target, you're a close second, but hey, Walmart, how you doing, baby? I was in the produce section, minding my own business, trying to decide between red or yellow onions, when a maybe late 40s-ish, fake red-haired, unmasked Karen, approached me. I have very good peripheral vision and situational awareness, so I knew she was there even before she uttered a single word from her heavily made-up food processor. This woman was dressed to the nines and looked like she should have been shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue instead of a discount grocery store. Discount grocery. Excuse me. I moved my cart thinking she needed to get by me. Excuse me. I'm sorry, did you need something? Took you long enough to acknowledge me. That's not how you treat a customer. I thought she was kidding. Then I realized she was serious. I could feel my anxiety spiking, but I at the time relished the possibility of roasting this obviously entitled woman who clearly has never had to work a day in her life. You must be confused. I don't work here, lady. Of course you do. You're wearing a blue shirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt with an inscription on it, torn shorts, and sneakers. How on earth do I look like an employee to you? I moved out from behind my cart and straightened out my shirt so she could read it. Her expression changed as she started to look embarrassed. Whether it was sheer refusal to admit she was wrong or foolish pride, she ended up choosing to double down on her entitled logic. If you don't help me, I'm getting your manager. Oh, for God's sake. Are you stupid as well as rude? I just told you. I don't work here. Other shoppers turned and looked, then sidled away or disappeared down nearby aisles. Side note, I've learned that if you embarrass the hell out of these entitled wank stains, they usually back off. In this case, it seemed to be working. Her face had turned to red and there was still no employee in sight. I'm shopping for groceries, just like you. Also, you should have a mask on. And it has nothing to do with the pandemic. She's just ugly. commence entitled rant about the virus being a hoax and how masks are an infringement upon her right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. She really said that. Capping it all off with a jab at me for not being a free thinker like her. Yeah, free like all them pathogens coming out of her mouth. The plague rat. Oh my god, lady, you are nuts! It's clear, based on how you're dressed, that you're well off. Apparently having money can't buy you class. Seriously, learn how to treat people with respect, you farking. What's this one? Batch? Farking batch? I don't know. He blanked out the letters. Evidently, no one had ever called her out on her entitled behavior before, because her jaw hit the floor. I turned my cart around and headed in the opposite direction as she hurled obscenities at my back. I finished my grocery shopping without further incident. Rather than have to deal with the long lines at self-checkout, I went to a register. Guess who I saw giving a front-end customer service associate an earful? Dun dun dun! Karen points at me. That's him! That's the little Fargot? I want him fired! I had paid and was pushing my cart past them. Ma'am, he doesn't work here and there's no need for that kind of language. If you don't calm yourself, you will be escorted out. Sir, are you alright? I'm fine. Congratulations, your gaydar works. You're right, I am. Mostly because I don't want to be linked to what is that? Hole? Like you, through a kid I never wanted. She gasped with an intake of air and started to turn so red I swore I thought she was going to blow a gasket. I spoke before she could start another rant. How ignorant do you have to make yourself look before you finally accept the fact that you... What's this one? Fault up, point at the rock on her finger. Give your husband my condolences and tell him I said, hey. Adding this because some people can't seem to comprehend that a person can lower or lift a mask. I detached my mask from one side to deliver the final blow. I winked and licked my lips. I think that finally did it, because she kept her mouth shut and looked like her ego had been deflated. I can't speak for everyone in earshot, but I got a glimpse of the customer service associate's face as I walked away, and he was trying so hard not to bust out laughing. I left the store and loaded up my car. On the drive home, I called my retired Irish-Italian auntie in New York to tell her what happened. She cracked up. A response? That's my boy! Some of you have pointed out that there was no way Karen could have seen me lick my lips if I had a mask on. When I don't need to wear it, I keep it tied to my belt loop so I don't end up losing or misplacing it. How is this relevant? It's not. I removed my mask to stick the knife in it. If you ask me, I thought Karen more than deserved it. That's a good story. I thought it was funny. Very, very creative to scare her into thinking that you were gonna flip her husband or something. Ha ha! And also, it's recommended that you wear a mask so that you are less of a pathogen-spreading plague rat, as I said, because we don't like plague rats. They spread pathogens, as I said. But in the end, do what you want. Alright, this story's called Woman Was Arrested Because She Thinks Being a Customer is a Free Pass for Assault. Happened some years ago, still dealing with the aftermath. I went out to buy some things from the supermarket with my boyfriend, now husband. I looked so obviously femme, even a dumb person won't think I work at this store. For God's sake, I was wearing a dress and heels. Boyfriend is in a separate aisle. I'm quietly looking through the shelves for my things without bothering anyone when someone tugs at my elbow very sharply, almost making me stumble. It's this woman, entitled Mom, glaring at me. Her teenage kid is behind her, looking extremely embarrassed. Where do I find the wine? I don't know. You should ask an employee. Please let go of me. She looks me up and down. You are an employee. Just shut up and help me or I'll get the manager. At this point, I've read enough stories to know how this ends. politely told her to leave me alone and walked away. Next thing I know, something hits me in the head. Hard. I swear to God, I genuinely thought I was dead for a second. It doesn't even hit me that something is wrong until I realize that I'm not even moving, even though I think I am. The only thing keeping me grounded is that I've gripped the shelf and keeping myself upright. There's a lot of yelling happening, and I can't genuinely focus on what's happening. Eventually, I lose the battle and pass out. When I came to, I was in a hospital. My boyfriend filled me in on what happened, so when I turned around and walked away, entitled mother was so furious that she grabbed a glass jar and hurled it at my head. Whatever her faults, she had excellent aim. The wounds were severe and she pretty much cracked my skull open. People around us alerted staff and the manager came over and security detained her until the cops came. My boyfriend came up onto the scene and got me to the hospital in time. Till the end, she just kept saying she was trying to teach me a lesson for looking down on her. Her husband came with their children to see me at the hospital. I don't think they were ready to see the extent of my injuries. Her husband broke down in front of me and told me she wasn't the woman he loved. Later, I found out through my lawyers that he served her divorce papers. Her family covered all my medical expenses without us asking. Her husband seemed like a really nice man. It's been a few years, but I always wondered why she was so angry when she clearly had a family who loved her. A part of me will always wonder that. Eventually, she was charged and sentenced to prison. The case actually wrapped up a few weeks ago. She was sentenced to 12 years in prison on a bunch of charges, along with her jail term and her personal life falling apart. She also had to cover my legal expenses entirely up front. Her lawyers tried every dirty trick in the book to keep both cases going, but it ultimately blew up in her face because she had to pay for the delays. She also had to pay for my therapy, that too up front. I've been enjoying the peace for the past few weeks and staying inside with my family. For a while, I had some memory issues that slowly got better. For a solid year after the incident, I couldn't step out of my house because of the intense fear that something or someone would attack me. With therapy, I'm better. I still can't step inside grocery stores, department stores as they're called in the States, I think, but I'm hoping to overcome this hurdle too. My husband, he's the boyfriend in the story, had to go to therapy too. He still sees me lying in a pool of my blood in his nightmares sometimes. I wouldn't wish this experience on my worst enemy, even though it ultimately did work out in a way, I guess. But so many lives were destroyed because of her rage. What was she so angry for? I guess I will never know. But there are silver linings. I'm pregnant with my first, and through with nausea. Somehow my little bean is giving me strength to overcome more and more each day. Anyway, the case is wrapped up, so I thought you guys would like to read this story. Thanks for sticking around. Edit. I didn't expect this story to blow up the way it did. Thank you for the awards, the hugs, and the love. I am doing much better today. Only onward from here. Special thank you to the dear friends who have shared stories of their trauma. I reply to you personally and say it here again. We are only as strong and capable as the people around us when crippled with fear. I will remember the child I'm about to have and your stories. Together, we will overcome fear and live with kindness and courage. Thank you for the good wishes for my baby. I call the baby Bean because it's a cute pet name, no? Thinking about calling the baby that name even after they're born. Some commonly asked questions. Did she express remorse? No, she never did. She was asked to take the stand once, and it was the only time during the trial we saw her cry and break down. But even then, she blamed me for ruining her life. There was no apology and no explanation. It was a random, brutal, and senseless act of violence designed to hurt me. How are you now? Much better, thank you. Still going to therapy, still taking it one day at a time. My husband is better too. his nightmares have reduced significantly. One day, this will just be a scary story.
Why didn't you take her to the cleaners?
A variety of reasons. I had a good ecosystem that rallied around me. My boss at the time didn't cut pay. I was a valuable employee in his organization, so they gave me paid leave. So I anyway didn't qualify for missed wages. She had to pay for my therapy up front and also my legal expenses, which were quite significant. Her husband had divorced her, so she was paying all this out of her own pocket, whatever savings she had accumulated. This shouldn't have affected my decision, but it did. Despite everything, I never wanted revenge, just justice.
What country did this happen?
This case was quite famous, so forgive me for not saying what country I'm from. If I tell you that, you'll immediately find my name out, and that's not acceptable.
What now?
Nothing. The last few years have been insanely crazy. Husband and I are just happy to exist with each other. Each day is a gift, and we intend to treat it as such.
What happened to her family?
I will paraphrase a comment I made to someone. The day her family came to visit me at the hospital was one of the worst memories of my life. I'll never forget that day. We all broke down crying. Her children, husband, me, my boyfriend, so many lives were destroyed because of this woman and her rage. At some point, her children, a son who looked around 11 and a daughter who looked around 16, came forward and hugged me as we all cried. I remember being so afraid, but at the same time being unable to move. I literally was paralyzed by fear. I didn't even realize I was crying until the children came forward and embraced me. My boyfriend was already embracing me, crying into my shoulder. Later, we found out that they had paid for all expenses I had incurred in the hospital. We were afraid this was to avoid legal recourse, but it wasn't. I genuinely believe her husband only had good intentions. After that day, I heard they filed for divorce. Her husband never came to court. After that day, we never interacted again. Her children came to court to testify, but it was obvious to everyone watching, this family was broken. The children said she was a good mother to them, but her daughter broke down crying on the stand when my lawyers asked her if she could describe that day from her perspective. It was obvious she was so terrified to see her mother in that light. After their testimonies, they didn't want anything to do with her or her court proceedings.
Will you meet them?
No, right now I can't. Too many horrible memories. Maybe in some years. I don't know. Edit 2. This has blown up considerably. My husband and I went through your comments. There are so many kind messages. I can't reply to all of them, but please understand that I am slowly but surely going through all of them at my own pace. Thank you for all your well wishes for me, husband, and Bean. Good night. I love you all. You really gotta imagine seeing that though. Just this lady just angrily throwing a jar at someone's head. That's scary. That's terrifying. And especially if that's your kid. Seeing your parent do something like that for no reason, that's scary to imagine. Because all I'm thinking about is just how that one action just absolutely destroyed everything for them. Even if the mom was acting up at home a little bit before that too, there's still that hope of, hey, this is just temporary and things will go back to normal. But all that's just shattered in that moment. It's crazy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.